Hey guys, I thought it was time to do another update with Lucas's speech therapy, but before I talk about any updates with Lucas, I just want to take the time to talk about a few issues and problems that has actually been coming up where people have commented or messaged me about therapy, and I just want to talk about that for a minute. So let me just say, as a parent, when Lucas's doctor said, hey, I think Lucas needs to see a speech therapist, the first thing that went through my mind was, what? Like, I felt like Lucas was behind at his 1-year checkup because he didn't really talk much and he just kind of babbled a lot. So I knew and felt like he needed help, but at the same time I was like, speech therapy? Because I didn't grow up knowing about speech therapy. I didn't have any clue about speech therapy. So I feel like that parents just kind of assume when they hear the word speech therapy that they're like, therapy, yeah, my child's not gonna go in therapy. So I always tell my husband, I wish that the word speech therapy could be changed to something else. I don't know what, but I feel parents are ashamed or scared when they hear the word therapy. You know, my child's gonna have to do therapy, speech therapy. And it is kind of a touchy subject because when you say, hey, I think your child needs speech therapy, first thing that, goes through your mind is, oh yeah, I need to sit my child down with a shrink and talk to someone, because that to me is what therapy is all about. I did therapy when I was younger with my mom, so that therapy compared to speech therapy is just totally different. So if you're a mom, a dad, a grandparent, whatever, and you're watching this, whether you've followed me for a long time or this is the first time you're viewing this, I just want to say, don't jump to conclusion, because I didn't jump to conclusion, but I was one of those parents where I was thinking, oh my gosh, therapy, what's going to happen? What's going on? But just do some research, because it's not as bad as you think it might be. So like I said, the whole, I think, therapy word is just scary. Thinking a shrink, or you're gonna go talk to someone, a therapist, but that's what they are. But anyway, it can definitely get confusing. But I wanted to point out that point that I've had a lot of people say, I feel like my child needs to start therapy. They're 1.5, they don't talk, but my husband or my spouse or my this or my that just says, no, your child's not doing speech therapy. And in a way, it kind of hurts my heart, because this child actually might need help, but yet the spouse or another family member is downing the whole speech therapy itself. And it's like, just give it a chance, just research it. YouTube, that's why I wanted to make these videos, to help other parents out there understand it maybe a little better. It's not what it seems. Speech therapy, it's just, unless you research it, try it out for yourself. I just got a whole new view whenever we started the therapy for Lucas, and it's just really helped him. I have to say, it's definitely a slow process. We're almost at our 6-month mark, but he's really progressed. And these people, that's why they go to school, is to learn these certain traits, so they can share and help children with the therapy, whether it's speech, whether it's with attitude. And Lucas has had both, and he's come a long way, and it's really helped. So anyway, enough with the mushy stuff, but I just wanted to point that out because I've had a lot of people talk to me about it and being concerned, and I get a lot of positive thank yous for sharing, nothing negative, but I just want any parent out there to just research it, give it a shot. It won't hurt anything, but I promise you, the whole speech therapy concept has nothing to do with a therapist. And I feel like that's where parents are like, whoa, a therapist, then I'm not, my child's not going to go see a therapist. And that's not what it's about. I just wish the word therapy could be something else. Okay, so on to Lucas's speech therapy. So like I said, we are actually almost at our 6-month mark, and that will be January of 2017. So I asked the director, because she just came over a couple of days ago, and I was talking to her about, you know, reevaluation and how does that work since this is our first time doing it. So she said at 6 months, they'll just kind of go over some of the basic goals, see what they've met, what they need to take away, like, oh, check mark this off, check mark that off. Oh no, we need to work on that some more. So that's what the 6-month update is going to kind of be about whenever they do like that little process at 6 months. And then at the year session, when it becomes his year mark of doing therapy, they will do basically a whole new review of him and say, okay, this section's doing good, so he doesn't need to see an OT anymore, or he's doing really good over here, so let's only let the speech therapist come once a month instead of twice a month. So they're just going to reevaluate him at the 1-year mark. So we'll just see how that goes. So I'll start with the OT, because if you watched any of my previous videos, the OT has kind of just worked on attitude, tantrum, drama issues, and also they work on like his attention span. But he doesn't really do tantrums anymore, and he's getting better where he used to go over there, over there, over there, over there with playing toys. And I mean, he still kind of has his moments, but the OT even said, you know, he's doing much better with his focusing skills, I guess, as another way to see where, you know, he'll play with a toy and then he might move on, but then we just redirect him and say, okay, Lucas, it's time to pick up. You need to clean up this activity before you move on. And sometimes it takes him a couple of seconds or a few minutes to kind of register in his brain. But he's like, okay, so I need to pick this up before I can go play with that? Is that what you're trying to say? And, you know, we just kind of help direct him along the way and show him, you know, hey, come back over here. Let's pick up these Legos before you move on to coloring. And like I said, it takes him a few minutes or even a few seconds. And once he registers it, he's real good about coming back over, and he will pick up, he will clean up. So he's really gotten, I'd say, 100% better about that, because he used to play with one activity, go run over to another activity, and we try to direct him back to the first activity to pick up, and he would just throw like a massive attitude and cry. And he doesn't do that anymore. So I think he's starting to understand, you know, hey, I need to pick this up before I move on to this number 2 step over here. So anyway, overall, the OT, that's kind of what she's working on right now. And I feel like she's kind of at the end of her stages, where when we get reevaled for him, you know, she might cut back to once a week. Like I said, I'm not for sure yet, but I feel like, you know, he's really meeting these kind of goals for the OT. So now we'll talk about the overall speech therapist herself, and she's seen a big improvement as well. He's doing much better on animal sounds. He's kind of catching along with that. He's being more repetitive with words. Sometimes we try to get him to repeat a word and he just kind of stares at us blankly, you know, but overall, sometimes if it's like a word we know he's trying to say, we can ask him to say it and he'll say it, especially with animal sounds. And then he's repeating actions as well, and the speech therapist said that is excellent. You know, he's really come a long way. The speech therapist feels like he doesn't have any kind of speech issue, and yes, it is a little early still to determine that because he's only 2, but overall, I mean, he's been making a lot of the vowel sounds and a lot of certain letters that the speech therapist wants him to say, so she doesn't feel like he's really struggling with the whole speech, you know, talking itself. So that's really good. So overall, that's really, you know, the speech therapist has just kind of been working on certain vowel and letter and repetitive stuff, and she's really seen a great improvement with that. So moving on to the director, I've talked about it before, nothing special. She just kind of comes over just to see how he's doing and plays with him. She doesn't work on anything specific, you know. She might give a few tips and tricks here and there. But one funny thing is she's been working with Lucas probably for the past solid 2-3 months. And a lot of times she takes her finger and she puts it right here on her chin. That way when Lucas is looking at her, you know, she's like, bubbles. And she was talking how to try to get them to say a word. So especially if your child is having issues with words, is to kind of make it interacting for them, like make it dramatic, I guess is what she was saying. So we can use bubbles, for example, because that's the word she was working with Lucas. So she will pull her bubbles out and she'll say bubbles. And like I said, she worked with Lucas for a solid 3 months, and then a couple of weeks ago, all of a sudden, Lucas took his finger and put it on his chin and goes, bubbles. So it was like, yay, Lucas. So, but the funny thing is now he's trying to use bubbles for everything, you know, like help or give me some food or hey, open the pantry, I need a snack. He'll go, bubbles. So it's really funny, but he's, once again, as you can see, he's mimicking, you know, what the director was showing him to do, and then he finally caught on. So that's really good that he got that. I feel like the only issue we're still kind of working with Lucas, you know, besides words and whatnot, is his eating. He's still picky. We try different things, and I've talked to the director about that, and she's kind of given me some ideas, and I've tried them. Lucas doesn't like them, but that's definitely one of the weaknesses that Lucas still has, is his pickiness. So hopefully it's just one of those things he'll grow out of. But like I told the director, you know, I try to give him some certain foods, and if he doesn't like them, then we leave it alone for about a week or two, and then we try again and just kind of go back and forth with that. And like I said, hopefully one day it'll just click in his brain, hey, I'm just gonna try that. But he's pretty still picky with his food. But overall, I feel like that's pretty much it with Lucas. He's come a long way, like I know I probably said in the other videos, but his animal sounds, his repeating certain words, which is really good. He's starting to talk a little more, still kind of blah, 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 babbles, but you know, he'll use bubbles for stuff. And whenever he says a word and we know that's not what it means, we just try to get eye level and tell him. So if he uses bubbles for a snack, you know, I'll get down eye level and say snack, and just try to reinforce him of, hey, we're not saying bubbles, we need to say this word instead. So, and I feel like he tries sometimes to say it, but there's still a little bit of a struggle. But overall, I feel like he's doing really great. So if you haven't seen any of my previous speech therapy videos, definitely check that out down below. I will link that whole playlist because I've got quite a few. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see any more future speech therapy video updates about Lucas. And thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.